When we're creating content and we're thinking about a campaign, now we could create a series of content within this particular campaign. But there are a few important questions to ask ourselves. The first one, who is our audience? Because here's the thing, the campaign that we're creating is not for us, it's for a particular group of people. Now, this could be internal stakeholders like the people who work in our organization or our managers, or the content can be for external stakeholders, say, for example, customers. So understanding our audience is integral because by understanding them, we can understand their pain point and therefore solve it, which makes the content quite useful in reality. Otherwise, they're not very likely to watch it or listen to it or read it or engage with it. Any content that we create, we want engagement. The second question that we need to ask ourselves, what solution is provided at the end of this particular campaign? If there's a series of videos we're creating in this campaign, so more than one bit of content, or maybe we've got different content on different social media sites. Well, what is realistically the end goal of this? What solution do we want to provide to our particular customers? For example, they go onto Instagram and they see that, hey, this organization is creating this thing which will help solve a problem. So they look at it, they go, interesting. Now on Instagram, are we really seeing maybe a series of photos with links potentially that people can click onto and get to YouTube? The series of photos that we post might be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. When they click onto a link, or maybe if they go into our YouTube page or to our website, there they might see, okay, here's a video of how to do something. So a real explainer video with more detail, more content. Maybe that can be broken into a whole different series if the problem is particularly complicated or has multiple steps to it. So that's realistically the second question. The third question, what kind of relationship is required to get to the end point? For example, we, the organization, are creating the content, or we, the creator, is creating the content. The user out there is engaging with us, but to get them from here, where they have a particular question or a particular topic or a particular aspect that they want to do better, to get them from here to the end point at which the solution that we've provided works for them, it makes sense for them, and they can do it, what kind of relationship do we want to create? Do we want it to be teacher-student type relationship where the teacher speaks, teacher demonstrates, teacher explains, teacher answers questions, and student absorbs all this? Do we want it to be more collaborative in the sense, hey, this is how I'm doing it, it's a demonstration, do you have any questions? The customers, our audience, poses the questions through various feedback mechanisms, and then our second video is basically based on that. So answering those questions and then showing step 2. So this relationship aspect is very important. The third question, what kind of content is most effective for this audience? If we're talking about something which is quite complicated or even moderately complicated, for example, my Excel skills are not very good. Now, if we want to show someone how to perform a particular function on Excel, like a pivot table, Instagram's not going to be great, right? We're not going to be like screenshot 1, screenshot 2, screenshot 3 with all descriptions. Instead, a YouTube explainer video is perfect. However, if you're showing maybe how to assemble a particular piece of furniture from IKEA, pictures might not be so bad. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on until hopefully it's constructed correctly. The next thing that we need to consider, what will keep the audience engaged? And remember, engagement is super important. We want our audience to be engaged throughout the session in the sense, we don't want them to get bored. We don't want them to drop off. We don't want them to go, this doesn't have enough value for me, I'm going somewhere else. We want them to stay engaged. So we need to consider this content that we're creating. How do we create little moments of engagement? Or maybe throughout the entire video, how do we keep the engagement? So is it a matter of posing questions to our audience so they can reply to us? Is it a matter of providing some really specialized knowledge that our audience are not aware of? So we need to consider these kind of flows, or even within the content itself. How do we assemble it? In reality, we have to have the end point in mind before we even begin, which is, what is the purpose of this particular piece of content? What do we want our audience to feel? What do we want them to think? What do we want them to be able to do? And if we can build our content around these three concepts, it also allows us to check what it is that we're creating to make sure that we're on the right track. Okay, so the next question we need to ask ourselves, how will our reach expand or extend beyond our current audience base? Because here's the thing with the ideas, right? I mean, you might have a great idea, and there's a particular group of people who like to follow us, who like to watch our particular videos. But an idea which can benefit the greater community, the wider community, or a particular segment that we don't currently cater to, well, the question is, how do we get our content to them? And this is where keywords or hashtags really come in. If we're looking at it purely from a social media perspective, hashtags. If we're considering YouTube or we're considering it for our websites, keywords become really, really important. Making sure our title is meaningful, making sure our descriptions are meaningful, ensuring that we are promoting it in various different channels and various different media formats to ensure that we are capturing a large portion of the market and thereby hopefully providing benefit beyond our traditional audience base. For example, videos that I create from time to time, if there's one that I think will benefit more than one particular segment of people, then I'll take it to YouTube. And from YouTube, I'll take it to, say, LinkedIn. And I'll post a video on LinkedIn with a description. Okay, so the last question. Now, here's the thing. We're talking about how our content can go beyond our current target base or beyond our current audience. We can't really discount or we can't really leave behind our current audience base either, because these people are exceptionally important. They're the ones that keep us going. So what we also need to do is ensure, well, how does our intended audience, the core group of people, how do we ensure that they can find the content? How do we make it most accessible for them? Now, if we can answer all these questions and we can keep the end point in mind, which is, what are we trying to do? How's it going to add value? What are the benefits? What will the audience be able to achieve at the end of this? If we can keep that end point in mind as well, it really helps to shape our content so that it's most effective and most engaging to our desired audience.